Today we're going to be listening to Iridium by Labrinth. As usual, I will be providing you with a breakdown of the various elements of the track and talking you through some of the things that I'm picking up on and listening out for, both as a curator and as a promoter. Excited to be breaking this one down for you today. If you've seen my previous Labrinth reaction, link in the description below, you will know that I think the guy's an absolute genius when it comes to production. The way that he brings these obscure sounds and these kind of offbeat rhythms together to not only make it work, but make it sound just awesome is mind-blowing to me. But before we go ahead and get into the video, if you like new music and you like it daily, check out my main channel, Pure Urban Music, link in the description below. Let's get it. Okay, right, so straight out of the gate, Labrinth is doing what Labrinth does, right? So we've got these twinkly keys, but at the start they're being reversed, right? Or they sound like they're being reversed. And then when the beat hits, the beat is very simple, right? There's nothing complex about that beat at all. We have the bass line that is kind of grimy, it's gritty, it's kind of dirty. And if you listen really, really carefully, right, you'll hear that it's almost in sync with the beat, right? Not completely, but it's pretty close. And then you have those twinkly keys over the top, right, just being played. And actually sound like offbeat, but they're working. And then of course you have Labrinth's vocals, right? Very simple, but very big, very prominent, very present. And you know, there is definitely some reverb going on those vocals. I'll take it back and you can listen to those elements. So those keys, right, they're reversing there. Hear that? Right, now listen to the beat, right? The beat is very simple, but also listen to the bass line. Listen to how gritty and grimy that is, but also listen to how it almost follows the same, almost the same rhythmic pattern as the beat, right? Just listen. And then you hear those keys over the top. They sound offbeat. It's almost like they shouldn't work, but they work, right? And then listen to Labrinth's vocals. Listen to how present they are, how big and kind of wide they are on the track, right? Just listen. The thing is, that key change as well is everything, right? It is everything. We need it, right? And the reason why we need it, if you listen to Labrinth's vocals, right, up until that key change, they're just on this same kind of tone, right? And so if we didn't have that key change, we'd just get bored. We would get bored because you can handle the same tone for a period, but then there will come a time when you're just like, my God, is this ever going to change, right? It becomes monotone, it becomes annoying, right? And obviously, you know, he knows that, so he's gone, we need to add in a key change here, right? And he's doing the same thing, he's just changing the key, right? But it sounds different, and it gives your ear something different to listen to. Let's go back and listen to that. So, same tone, right, all the way throughout so far. Key change. Okay, right, now, you listen to how they transition us in, right? You probably didn't even hear it. What they have is this snare hit, but it sounds like an old school kind of 80s fighting game, like, and you take a hit and you get that, right? You get that noise when you get punched, right? Listen to that. That's what they're using. They transition us into this segment of the song, and it's so subtle, but it's so important to the track, right? Listen.
deep down, you know. Me
There.
and you are more than killer. We're assassins. The way we murder rhythm.
Right, now, again, you notice with Labrinth's vocals, right? We've got that same thing happening. We've got him following this same tone. But what's actually important here is the fact that he's leading with his vocals at the moment in terms of the rhythm, right? Like, if I was tapping away on this, right, I wouldn't be tapping away to the beat. I wouldn't be tapping away to the bass line because in my ear, they're not prominent enough to be kind of taking that over, right? I would actually be following, right, the rhythm of his vocals. So he's quite clever in the fact that that's what he's doing right now. He is setting the rhythm of this track with his vocals. I'll take it back a few. Just pay attention.
Me and you are more than killer. We're assassins. The way we murder rhythm.
There you go. You hear that? Right, he's setting that flow. He's setting it.
I do all this fucking game for answer. Oh, table.
Right, and now they're using a different sound to transition us into this segment of the song. We've had another sound come in. It's clearly a transition because of where it's hit in the song. I would expect to hear something different or something added to this this track now, right? Let's go back, see if that happens.
I do all this fucking game for answer. Oh,
there.
Tables, chairs, floor and ceiling. Like this motherfucker up like Tinder easy.
And you notice he's changed the flow on, even though on this part of the track, right, we had that same opening flow as what we did before, but it's the back end. He's changed the rhythm slightly, right, in the vocal. Listen.
Like this motherfucker up like Tinder easy.
There, just right at the back. And there's the additional sound, right? Let me go back a few so you can hear that change in rhythm because I know I didn't hit it bang on cue. But there's another sound. Right, it's quite a big sound as well. Just listen here.
So
that's the same flow as we got in the previous one. Right, and now he's going to switch that flow up, but then also listen out for that sound.
Tables, chairs, floor and ceiling. Like this motherfucker up like Tinder easy.
There you go. Right. It almost sounds like what would you call it? You know, like one of those clowns. Hung. Do you know what I mean? One of them, right? Just listen one more time.
Floor and ceiling. Like this motherfucker up like Tinder easy. Dropping fire in the auditorium. Ooh.
What you notice now, right, is they've used a different snare. Right, so first we had the old school 80s punch to the face hit, right? Then we had like it was like a bit of a weird noise, wasn't it? Like a kind of shouty noise, right? And now we've actually had a snare roll. So we've had 3 different sets of transitions into each segment of the song, right? Just listen to the snare roll here.
Dropping fire in the auditorium. Ooh.
There.
We collide, our sparks fly.
And you notice, right, we notice the transition because now Labrinth has changed the flow again, but also he's now higher, right? Listen to that.
Ooh. When we collide, our sparks fly. We reel them in like white bells on fish lines. We sing our hymn, sweet melodies pass by. Before you know it, on my dick like red light.
And now we've had a break in the track, right? We've had a break, right? You notice on this part, there's no instrument, well, there's no beat or anything like that, right? It's just these vocals, which again tells us we're about to go into something else, right? Just listen.
This pass by before you know it, on my dick like red light.
You hear that? Hear the break, right? And just going back to the whole monotone thing that I was talking about, right? See, he's pushed the boundaries on this. And he probably knows it, right? He's pushed the boundaries on those vocals because if you notice, the key change still happens underneath, but he doesn't change the key of his vocals. He just stays the same, right? And he's pushing the boundary on that, of that beginning to get a little bit like all right, can we switch it up? But he knows it, right? And so he switches it up just in time. He brings in the break, and now we're going to get something else.
Like white bells on fish lines, we sing our hymn, sweet melodies pass by. Before you know it, on my dick like red light. Dee da 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 dee dee dum dee dum dee dee da 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 dee dee dum dee dum dee dum. Da 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 dee dum.
Right, listen to how reverbed his vocals are, man. Right, they're huge. Listen to how big they sound. They're massive. Just listen to those vocals, man. They're massive. So we had the snare roll there. We had an ad-lib come out as well. Again, something different in the track. Listen. And the snare, again, listen to the pattern of the snare as we transition. It's different. Every transition is different, man. It's so smart. Listen. And we had a break there as well. Actually, they used the kick drum there as well, right? Listen. Listen. There. And now we've got this other kind of keys coming in. And we've got these chimes. And what sound like chimes now, just kind of being run like this. But we've got this other instrument over the top. Right, just kind of riffing and playing these, what sounds like, yeah, these keys, like this riff. Just listen. Listen. Goes dun 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 dun. Blow them away. We blow them away like a feather on a street corner. 'Cause our shit holy and sanctified. Tell them when we collide, our sparks fly. And we've had more sort of like chimes come in by the sounds of it, right? Listen, it kind of sounds like something's being sprinkled. You know, the sort of noise that you'd associate to like fairy dust or something like that in like a cartoon. Just listen, it comes in here. When we collide, our sparks fly. We reel them in like white bells on fish lines. We sing our... And then we hear a snare, break, whoop. Right, listen. Bye. When we collide, our sparks fly. We reel them in like white bells on fish lines. We sing our hymn, sweet melodies pass by. Before you know it, on my dick like red light. And then we get a do, right? So we actually get a kick drum there. Pass by. Before you know it, on my dick like red light. There. Singing. And now we just get these plain old vocals, dum dee dum, like a guy down the pub doing karaoke, right? But like it all works still, right? Just listen. Like red light. Singing. They on my bed. Absolute banger. Okay, so quick summary. The thing that I really liked about this track was the fact that it was both simple and complex all at the same time. So if we take a couple of the elements, Listen to the drums. Not really that complex. Listen to the bass line. Again, pretty simple. Was almost in sync with the rhythm of the drums, right? Listen to those twinkly keys. Again, they're not really doing much, right? They're just there. And then you listen to Labrinth's vocals, right? Again, straightforward, pretty simple. Nothing hugely complex in terms of layers and ad-libs and all this sort of stuff that's going on that kind of makes them complicated. So when you listen to those elements and you just kind of listen at a surface level, you go, actually, it's a pretty straightforward track. But then you combine those things and you also take into account some of the other elements, and that's what begins to build on the complexity of the track. So immediately, let's talk about the snare transitions, right? How many snare transitions did we have in that track, right? Quite a few. You see, there's complexity in that because each transition, they're using not just a different sound, but they're changing up the rhythm completely, right, to introduce us to the next segment. Then you look at Labrinth's vocals. Now, yes, I said, okay, they pretty simple, but that's surface level, right? Listen to the way that he's controlling the rhythm of the track with his vocals. Pretty much all the way throughout. To be able to lead on something like that, have that vocal ability to do that, right, is not just a talented thing, but an incredibly complex thing to do. But it wasn't just the rhythm. It was him pushing the boundaries in terms of how long he could stay in one tone for before it began to become a bit monotone and a bit boring, right? So it was right at the start. He's kind of got that rhythm, but he changes it just in time with a key change, right? And then later on, we get this same thing, but he pushes it even further this time, but then just in time, he pulls a break out and leads us into a second segment. So you've got those two things vocally that are happening, right? Let alone things like ad-libs and stuff like that really build on that complexity. And then finally, you had the addition of some extra instruments towards the back end. Now, there are a couple that I didn't call out, right? One example would be, it sounds like there's like a ticking sound that gets added to the beat towards the back end. And if you can go back and listen to that and pick it out, then you know, blinding. But if we talk about the instruments that we can hear, the chimes, right? And it sounds like when they come in, somebody's just going up and down the rail, right? It sounds like there's no structure to them or any arrangement to them at all, but they work. And the same goes for some extra keys that are added towards the back end, which I picked out in the video. So yes, surface level sounds simple, but you combine all of that and you take into account those additional elements that we've covered, and it just becomes quite a complex track. And again, another masterpiece by Labrinth. Okay, that's it from me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.